Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Panel Pals, the comic book podcast for thinkers. We're your hosts, Diane Hitchings.
And Jack Stewartson.
So, Jack, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. I don't know.
Just okay? Just okay?
I can't complain.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great is better than okay. Why?
Yeah.
What's great?
I was just gonna say I'm doing great. I can't complain. I don't know. Weather's nice. Been biking a lot. I had work this morning. It went well. I've been doing a lot of drawing, a lot of reading. I mean, can't complain, honestly.
All good things. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
None of that sounds bad to me.
Got my latest Backy volumes last week, so life is good.
Life is good when you've got Backy at home.
Exactly.
That is good.
Yeah. Hopefully, you doing good is still doing well. Not.
Good is fine. There's nothing wrong with. There's nothing
Excellent.
wrong with good.
Yes, we love just generally okay. Woohoo. Well, we will see how good is as we talk about our comic of the day today. I did say in the last Diane-led episode that, I'll make sure we'll do something more serious next time. That was before I forgot that we record these far ahead of time, and this year I actually wanted to get our Pride Month episode actually during Pride Month, so we'll do that more serious thing next time. And for now, we're gonna do another comedy slice of life manga.
Yay!
Yee! Yes, today we're going to be talking about a series called Family COMPO. Any opening words, any thoughts you have, Jack?
This is certainly something out, like, I would never read this typically, so this makes for usually a good type of our show. This is a good episode for our show when Diane introduces me to something that I would not read usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty niche one, as in, I don't know anyone who's read this.
But it's by a popular author, which I'm sure we'll get into in the discussion.
You bet, yeah, yes, I do touch on that in my description, yeah. So, let us get into it, then. Family COMPO, sometimes stylized as F-COMPO, is a slice-of-life comedy, drama, romance manga by Tsukasa Hojo. The series ran from 1996 to 2000, comprised of 102 chapters compiled into 14 volumes. Interestingly, despite never being released in English, the series was released in French from 1999 to 2002, and then in Italian from 2010 to 2012. And a deluxe double-volume version was again released in Italian starting in 2025. From what I've been able to garner, Hojo's work is quite popular in Europe. Like, there's a French movie that's an adaptation of part of Hojo's series called City Hunter. Like, it's a movie made in France. It's not a French translation of a Japanese-made movie. It's a live-action French movie based on one of Hojo's series. A lot of the resources I used for this episode were in French, yay being bilingual. And, fun fact, because the series was never translated into English, the version we have been reading is translated into English from an official French translation. Tsukasa Hojo's name might be familiar as he is the mangaka behind the series City Hunter, which has sold over 50 million volumes worldwide, and then also the spin-off series Angel Heart, which has sold 25 million copies. So, this is another example of Diane accidentally reading a famous mangaka's least popular series and knowing nothing about said very famous mangaka until much later. My bad. This always seems to happen. And, also, a cool fact, Takehiko Inoue, the mangaka behind series such as Slam Dunk and Vagabond, and my personal vote for an almost perfect manga series, Real, was Hojo's assistant back in the day. So, very interesting. Now, back to Family COMPO. The series follows Masahiko Yanagiba, a first-year uni student who's been newly orphaned after his father died in a car accident. His aunt and uncle on his deceased mother's side offer to house him, and thus his new life with the Wakane family begins. He soon finds out that the quote-unquote normal family he moved in with is more than meets the eye, as his uncle Sora is a transgender man and his aunt Yukari is a transgender woman, and his cousin Shion is gender fluid and her quote-unquote real sex is unknown. Other characters in the series include Tatsumi, a Yakuza boss who falls in love with a cross-dressing Masahiko, Uncle Sora's assistants. In the series, Uncle Sora is the mangaka himself, and he has 4 assistants who are all transgender women. And then there's also Yoko, Masahiko's girlfriend. The series follows Masahiko's daily life at home and at school, with plots often revolving around gender, sexuality, family, love, and a lot of cross-dressing. This manga is one of those that sits in my head and just exists up there. It's interesting to talk about because, there's aspects about it that are really good, and aspects about it that are not good. It's a very unique series, being from the 90s and portraying transgender and genderqueer people in normal situations in normal life. But it's complicated, and there's a lot that we're going to talk about today. Now, a bit about transgender rights and representation in Japan. Keep in mind, this is from a non-Japanese person who has been doing just research on this and has not ever lived in Japan. From a legal standpoint, a 2003 law allows transgender folk to change their gender on their legal IDs if they were over 18, did not have any minor children, were not married, and had undergone gender-affirming surgery and sterilization. In 2023, the part about sterilization was removed. Gender-affirming surgery is currently accessible in Japan, as is hormone replacement therapy, but not equally accessible across the country. There is no national law in Japan protecting queer people from discrimination, for example, in the workplace, and there is no national recognition of same-sex marriages or allowances for adoption for same-sex couples. In terms of anecdotal evidence, I did some research, and of course it varies from person to person and depends on where you are in the country, but the idea I got was that the country is pretty conservative and conformist, as in, a lot of people don't know much about queer people or issues, a lot of people are closeted, a lot of people are driven to fit in. But, on the other hand, a lot of society just minds their own business, so as long as a trans person doesn't, quote-unquote, stick out, then not many people will really mind too much. Especially in regards to transgender tourists, tourists are already different, so being trans doesn't change too much, and the rules for recognizing trans identity in a legal sense are more lax for foreigners in Japan. So, kind of like the law's legal protections are not great, but generally on a societal scale, especially in the bigger, less traditional cities, trans individuals can live pretty normal lives. All in all, a little bit of different rules than what's up in Canada. So, then, how does a series like Family COMPO fit into the discussion of transness and the media about transness? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in the middle with good facets and bad facets? And, queer topics aside, is it a good manga? We'll see. So, thoughts?
I think there's a lot to like about this series. From a visual standpoint, very solid figure work on all kinds of different bodies, which is that's interesting to see. I think the premise is... I don't know how I feel about the premise just because I don't know how I should feel about the tone of the work. And maybe that could totally be me, and it could come from a Western bias. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on this one. What about you, Diane?
I'm also very mixed on this series. What do you mean by you're not sure how you're supposed to take the tone of this series?
Let's talk about trans issues in the West, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's no secret that in the West, historically, trans people are not treated very well in media, correct?
Correct.
Usually, they are either the butt of a joke, usually at their expense, or, and to their credit, this is work usually done by trans people, themselves, but usually it's depicted as a hard life, which is not inaccurate, but there's a lot of trans fiction that are sad stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, trying to merge those two, which this work kind of does successfully, but also kind of doesn't, puts me at odds with my own Western biases, I guess I should say.
Yeah, because this is a comedy series.
Correct. This is a sex romp, right?
Yeah, it's technically a slice of life comedy, but there's also some romance aspects to it. It's in that genre of people doing life stuff, and also it's funny. There's not a whole lot of forward progression in the story, as is with a lot of slice of life series. It's mostly focused on like the smaller things, like character interactions, that kind of thing. And yes, a heavy emphasis on comedy. And a lot of the comedy is not the best. I mean, okay, is this series funny? Yes, sometimes it is. Sometimes, or a lot of the times, the joke is, that's a transgender person. And you're like, okay, A, you've done this joke 12 times already, and B, you can't just like be like, oh, look, a person, and that's a joke. That's not how jokes work.
Right. It's also like, that's the premise. Like, we get it. They're trans. That's the premise. You told us this already.
Yes. We went over this in the first chapter, and then they do it again in the second chapter, and I get it. Yeah, we get it.
We get it. That being said, sometimes the humor is not always, like, trans people aren't always the butt of the joke in this series, which is, like, refreshing. Sometimes the butt of the joke often is people who misgender trans people, or misgender cis people also. And that's, like, that is nuanced. Like, that's not something we see out here specifically. Yeah, I don't know. I'm mixed on it.
Yeah, that's the thing with this series. It's like slightly difficult to talk about because you're like, well, first of all, it's a series from the 90s, so a lot of it is outdated. There's a one point in time where like someone's using a computer and people are like, whoa, you know how to use email? And I'm like, that's so funny. And also the fact that it's older, like at this point it's over like 25 years old. Some of the terminology that the series uses is very archaic and not great. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, that might also be because it's from a translation of a translation too, but
that too.
Yeah. But definitely dated terminology used. Yes,
we are using the term transgender. This manga does not. You can probably draw conclusions what that means. So that makes it slightly uncomfy to read in that point, where you're just like, this kind of reminds me of like the Smurf episode, you know, how they like recolored the Smurfs.
Yes.
Like, do you think like if this like series was like released, but they used better terminology, it would be a better read?
I mean, it would depend on when it would be released in English.
Yeah.
Because the definition of the terminology of how we refer to trans people or gender non-conforming people has changed, right? Like, and that's also changed within the trans community itself. Like, it's not unique to, I wouldn't be surprised if in a Western release, within the trans characters would refer to themselves using different terms than you or I certainly refer to trans people.
Yeah, because it is from a different time and a different place. So, like, the things that we are used to and make us comfortable in the West are different than things that would be normal in Japan. And, like, I mean, can you make a value judgment on those things? Kind of hard to do. Don't really want to just make a blanket statement like that. It's just, sometimes reading this, like, I've read this series many times because I probably first read it like 10 years ago. As I do, you know, randomly discovering a random manga, and then you read it, and then you find out, like, 5 years later that's by someone who's actually really famous and has series that are, like, well-known, and you're just like, huh, how did I read the one that no one has heard about? How did I read the one that is actually not in English ever?
How did you find this one? Like,
the same way I find everything else. Like, how did I read Real instead of Vagabond and Slam Dunk? Because I just read random stuff in random orders. Hey, I will say, it makes for a very interesting course through manga when you don't just start at Dragon Ball.
True, very true.
Is there anybody else in this world who's read Family COMPO before they've read Dragon Ball? Probably just me.
One.
Yeah, one.
A sample size of one.
Yeah.
Speaking on his other works, though, I've known of City Hunter, despite me never reading it, because the anime is like, it's on every streaming service. Like, I bet the streaming rights for that thing are pretty cheap, I assume.
I wonder why.
I think it was one of the first gateway anime to come out in the West, like to be dubbed and subbed in the West.
Oh, Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Moreover, you mentioned, I didn't know that there was a French adaptation, but there's a Hong Kong adaptation of City Hunter starring Jackie Chan, and that's always been on my list too. I've always wanted to check that
amazing.
out.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, no, these things I learned because I had to go to French sites to find anything about this manga. Because there's not really much for English sites about this manga. So I'm like, great, I can read French. Oh, there's also an Italian version of this? Well, I can't read Italian, but... So, like, hypothetically, I could have tried to track down the French version of this and then made you also have to read a French version of this
true.
manga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An ability we both share. True.
But, like, yeah, this explains why, I've never seen this manga in English. Man, finding it in French would be awesome. But, like, I've gone to, like, this great little manga store that I always go to in Vancouver. And recently I was there, and I was like, because I knew we were going to do this episode, I was like, I wonder if I can find some of the original volumes. Nope. Did I find the entirety of the original Japanese City Hunter? Yeah, I could have bought that. I found, like, literally every other of his works, except for this one, and I'm like, okay, yeah, why'd I have to read the obscure ones?
Yeah. I think there's been a re-release of his other work, Cat's Eye, recently. And I've leafed through that at Indigo, and I've been impressed. I haven't picked it up, but I'm a little bit more inclined to now after reading this, I think.
And I've recently seen City Hunter in paper, like, version before. Yeah, like, I've seen it at chapters, and I'm like, yeah, cool. I wonder if they're ever going to do Family Compo.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. When would be a good time to release this? That is the problem. Between its problematic aspects and... our own culture's problems and biases against trans people, like, it's in a tough spot, like, I don't want to say, like, culturally, but, like, identity politics wise, I guess, like, which makes it interesting, like, it makes it an interesting read, but, like, not suitable for a general audience because people are disgusted by it on both sides of the aisle, I think.
I mean, personally, I would love to be able to own this just because I do genuinely like this manga, and I think it's just such an interesting series to exist that, like, having it would be kind of really cool. Because I don't think there's a lot of... I mean, yeah, like, there's other stuff sold a lot. I don't think I found sales numbers for Family Compo, but I can guarantee you it's not as high as City Hunter.
No, probably not.
There's never been an English version, and yeah. What interesting to me is that his stuff is really popular in Europe. I wonder what specifically it is. Maybe it's like kind of the, like, some neo-noir aspects of City Hunter. I haven't read all of it. I only read like a couple chapters. It kind of looks like Family Compo, just like it was before Family Compo, because so, like, the start of it's a little rougher art-wise, and it's definitely a different genre. But, like, I could see how it's, like, would kind of fit in with the comics culture in Europe. Like, it's cool.
Right.
Seems like it'd be cool kind of gunslinger vibes. Yeah, kind of that stuff.
Yeah, but very Le Samurai, Le Cercle Rouge, like heisty, car chasey in a modern setting. Yeah.
And it does look cool. Yeah, art-wise, in my notes where I have under the general manga stuff, the first thing I have is art, ? You like how it looks or not?
Oh yeah, I think it's a beautifully drawn book, I have to say. I think his attention to detail in figures and faces are worth noting, for sure.
Especially, like, there's a good, like, subtle facial expressions of, like, emotions that aren't outwardly large, but, like, inwardly very important. Like, those sort of expressions are very well done, and you can, like, see, like, the characters having introspection or, like, a quiet moment of thinking or happiness or sadness. Yeah, I think that really works. I mean, there's also the room for, like, comedy. It is in the whole, like, spectrum of how manga is drawn. I'd say this tends to very much more to the realism side, which I think helps, like, with the type of story it's telling, a more realistic type of story. Having figures and locations that are drawn more realistically helps to really ground this series. But Hojo allows for some looseness in facial expressions especially, and posing in more of the comedy scenes, so that you can, like, feel those larger, sillier expressions. Like the faces get way less realistic
Right.
when people have large emotions. And it works well. It doesn't really seem out of place. So like kudos for that. I think the art is excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, the cartooning is good, in addition to just the illustration.
Yeah.
And he can't help himself but every once in a while go to his milieu of action-adventure comics by showing a car chase or having his female lead play a vigilante in a film. So she's holding guns and she's getting into, like, scraps.
Yeah.
The Yakuza play an important role in the narrative.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so, like, there's not really much I can complain about art style-wise. I mean, yes, you can feel that this is a series from the 90s based on, like, how people dress, hairstyles for sure, technology, of course. But, like, that's good. It places it in a certain time and space so that you, like, know what situations you're dealing with. Like, you're like, when I first read this, I was like, yeah, I can tell this is not recent. And that makes a lot of things make a lot more sense. Because if this came out exactly as it was in like 2026, I'd be like, the fuck, dude? Yeah. A couple other things revolving about the just general manga stuff. What's your thought about like the characters?
I think they're likable right up until a point, which is
how so?
My gripes.
Uh-huh.
The series lead, Shion, I'm getting that right?
The girl, yeah.
Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking about the boy then. That's
Masahiko, or as his friends call him, Giba at school. Yeah, because that's just like part of his last name. But anyways, yeah. Main character man. Yes,
he is sort of a classic manga early adult schlub in the vein of like a Golden Boy or any number of slice of life. So not a lot to hate there, right up until he keeps trying to have sex with his 16-year-old cousin, which not a problem unique to this manga, but still distracting, certainly.
Yeah, like my biggest complaint about him, I guess, like he's kind of like boring. I mean, he's kind of like a pushover. He like has personality, I guess, but it's like he's definitely like the weakest personality out of all the main cast, which, you know, it makes sense as the main character, blah blah blah. Main characters are sometimes a blank canvas that people can project themselves onto, blah blah blah, whatever. I've done that rant millions times.
Yes.
But yeah, other characters, you think? What? I
mean, Shion's fun. That's a playful character, and again, her gender identity is, even though it's played up as like a mystery to be solved, which I certainly hope never does get resolved, the fact that it is a non-binary person in a work like this is kind of refreshing.
For reference, for all y'all who have not read this very niche series, Shion is 16 years old at the start of the series. Throughout her life, she has flip-flopped between presenting as male and female, and her parents never had a problem with it when she was growing up. It was just like her way of expressing herself. Later on in the manga, she does say she wants to enter college as a man, and her parents are all like, probably shouldn't, and it's like, okay, well, can you explain for me a reason why that's not just plot contrivance? Yeah, they have a reason. They're like, well, when you're a kid, you can just figure stuff out, but you've like been living as a woman for like 8 years now, so like, okay, yes, and
right.
But yeah, no, Shion's a fun character. Yes, they're one of the main quote-unquote through lines of the story is like Masahiko is like, wow, I wonder if she's a boy or a girl, and you're like, okay, first of all, doesn't matter. Really matter. Second of all, can you stop? Yes, for some reason, this series made the incomprehensible decision that one of the main through lines is, wow, Masahiko would really like to hook up with his cousin. Huh?
Yeah.
Can
distracting.
You not? Yeah, and it literally starts in the first chapter, and it's like, honestly, I kind of forgot how strong that element was when I came back and read it this time. I'm just like, well, I didn't, because I know how the series ends, and I always remember how the series ends. I can give you spoilers if you'd like. But I'm just like, yes, the series does give him a girlfriend.
Right, Yoko, right?
Yeah. Yoko, she's an artist. She, at one point in time, wants to be an assistant for Uncle Sora's, to work on his manga. She does sometimes, like, fill in as an assistant, but not really. She's usually off doing her own thing, going to, like, art school or whatever. And then the amount of times in the series where, like, Masahiko's like, I have a girlfriend, but I'm just kind of thinking about my cousin. And you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I get the whole concept of a love triangle. But, like I saw a comment somewhere, they could have just made, like, someone adopted, and then that could have changed all the problems.
Right. Well, not really. Well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not all the problems, but I'm like, yes, Masahiko could have just been adopted, and then it wouldn't be as cringe as it is. It would still be weird. It'd be like, uh-oh, stepbro, but
weird.
like, yeah, but it wouldn't be, uh-oh, my biological cousin.
Yeah. I mean...
Where our mothers were siblings.
Right. I don't think this is a problem unique to...
Oh, it's not.
Certainly not this manga, not genre even, which is unfortunate. That's just how it is out there. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is not surprising to me that this series has, wow, this girl is so hot. That's a 16-year-old. And also the, wow, my cousin is so hot. Yeah, that's your cousin.
That's your cousin.
Neither of these are unique. Why are these tropes that exist? Stop, please. And like, at this point, it's like, unfortunately, I am numb to these tropes because they happen so often in manga. So you just kind of be like, you're like, okay, I'll keep reading.
Right.
Do you want to know how this plot line is ended at the end of the series?
Sure. Why not? Regale me.
Yeah, why not? Okay, so, like, literally second last chapter, Yoko breaks up with Masahiko because she's like, you never really seem to really want to love me. Also, I found someone else.
Cold.
And then he's like, well, like, I mean, he was a shit boyfriend, let's be real.
Well, true.
Like, yeah, you keep reading the series and you're like, wow, he literally does nothing right. He always shows up late, he always forgets about stuff, he's always, like, it's nice that he's always, like, you know, prioritizing his family, but sometimes he's prioritizing thinking about banging his cousin instead of spending time with his girlfriend, so maybe don't do that. Anyways, and then, like, in the last chapter, it's all like Masahiko's like, I love you to Shion, and is like, are you a girl or a boy? And then she's like, you know what, I don't love you as a man, more like a brother, but it's up to you to make me love you like a man.
Oh,
and
okay.
Also, as to whether I'm a girl or a boy, and then she's interrupted by a phone call, so we never find out, because it does not matter. It really doesn't, and, like, I don't care.
The cousin thing is much more distracting.
The cousin thing is more... So it literally ends kind of like, yeah, they're probably gonna kind of, like, date or whatever. And you're just like, eh. It, like, also in, like, the last, like, 10 chapters or so, it, like, does introduce another love triangle with, like, another character who, like, likes Shion, and then, like, Masahiko gets jealous and whatever, and it's like, okay. And at this point in time, Shion is presenting as a man, so, like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. Okay, just give up on your cousin, please.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how that ends. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, if this... I think that this series would be a lot stronger if it wasn't about trying to bang your cousin, but, like, whatever. Yeah, my notes literally say, why is there a will they won't there with cousins? Also, Shion is 16 at the start! Exclamation mark. So.
Yeah.
And they do sexualize her a lot, which is, again, another problem with a lot of manga. It's not specific to this. I still have a problem with it. I'll never stop having a problem with it. Maybe someday people will stop making manga like this, but whatever. Whatever.
So I tried to do a little bit of research, and I was unsuccessful because there's not a lot written about this in the West. How familiar are you with Frederick L. Schott's? It's called Manga, The World of Japanese Comics. It's like one of the first like texts on manga from a Western perspective.
Interesting. Oh, I have not read this.
You haven't read this. Okay.
I have not. Oh, it's from the 80s.
It's from the 80s, yes.
Interesting.
I believe Frederick Schott was a packager or some sort of distributor. And I think he was with Marvel Comics originally, where Marvel was trying to sell to an international audience, including Japan. And there's a long story about that, but while over there, he became fascinated with Japanese comics and the Japanese tradition of manga. Part of this book is there's the description of how Japanese comics are different than American comics in that they are more violent and they are more sexually charged. There's sexual elements to manga. And I was hoping that they would maybe address like gender issues, but they don't really. But
Of course not.
Frederick Schott suggests that the reason why Japanese comics are more liberal than American comics is because Japan is a much more sexually conservative country. Like, they did not have sexual liberation in the way that America did, and therefore their manga is almost a way to like express it in a safe way, which includes some of the nastier elements of sex. He cites Lolita complex specifically as an example. I wonder if that's maybe what's going on here. I don't know how
with the Shion thing.
I mean, with the whole thing, like even addressing trans people, like there would never be a comic like that in the US or in Canada, or like probably not even in the UK. Like maybe France, maybe Italy, which are more sexually liberal countries, would address something like this.
That's why this was popular there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Do you agree with that? Do you not agree?
Yeah, and there's also the fact that, like, I mean, yes, in the West, comics have, like, historically been for adults, but, like, also historically in the West, comics has been a lot for kids. Agreed?
Yeah, I mean, comics had their kneecaps hit out from them underneath them in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so just, like, as manga has always been for, like, adults and, like, for all ages, I think there's just been the ability to, like grow the niches for age demographics and just, like, you know, all types of genres. It's like, it's more, you know, there's like books for everything. Books that were never specifically just for kids. Honestly, I think the fact that Western comics, or especially in, like, North America, decided to spend a long time being like, comics are only for kids, we can't do anything fun with them, really fucking kneecapped Western comics, and it pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because, like we're getting there now. There's more series for all age groups. And I think it's also funny that there was just a huge boom of middle grade comics, like, within the past 10 years. It's like, well, okay, they always had comics.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I mean, the difference, of course, being a diversification of genres and subject matter, not unlike manga, where you can have sports manga and action manga and romance manga and horror and gritty crime and historical epics. Like, in the West, we had superheroes and Archie and, like, Bigfoot, like Casper the Friendly Ghost type stuff, and that's about it.
Yeah, so one of these days, I do hope that eventually Western comics, well, North America comics is a little bit less than the European comics, but, like, hopefully Western comics can get to the point where they do, it'll be a plethora of comics for all age demographics and all genres and all types, and people can stop being like, ooh, it's comics are for kids. Can you please stop?
Yes.
I'm an adult. I could never read a comic that wasn't a critically acclaimed auto-bio comic.
It's a bio
Yes,
that's drawn in a strange manner.
Yeah, it's like, no, you can actually read anything that's a comic, honestly. Just go do it. Stop. You're cringe. Anyways, that was generally my thoughts on that. So yeah, I like this genre of comic of, it's a slice of life, but it's definitively for adults. Like, there's not really, like, widely available in bookstores. There's not a lot of Western comics that fit this specific demographic and genre.
Yeah, it'd have to be a webcomic almost. Like, that's where you'd find something like this.
So, like, you can find, like, a good amount of stuff online, or like small, like, publishers, or, like, people publishing their own stuff and getting, like, Kickstarted for it. But, like, if you still go to, like, a big bookstore, there'll be the manga section that's full of stuff, and some of them will be cellophane shut. And then you'll go to the comic section, and it's still just, like, just all
Marvel,
superhero
DC,
comics.
And Drawn a Quarterly / Fantagraphics, and that's it.
Yeah. you'll be like, oh, there's like 17 shelves of Batman and there's ducks.
Yeah.
And you're
Pretty
like,
much.
thanks. And you're like, thanks. That's great. But depending on what bookstore you go to, you might find some Scott McCloud books. That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
I found The Sculptor once in a bookstore. That was
That's
fun.
cool. That's
That
cool. If
was
you go to the
cool,
humor
yeah.
section, you'll find like newspaper
Yeah.
strips. But yeah, that's kind of
Which,
it.
You know, we should do an episode once on that, and I can complain about how I don't see those as real comics.
I might be able
Sorry.
to change your mind on that.
Cool.
We'll see.
Cool, I would love to. I would love you to try. But anyways, yeah, this is an interesting, unique genre that doesn't exist very much in the West, and that's maybe probably a reason why it was more popular in Europe, and like specifically France and Italy. To be in France in like 2005 and be able to actually get this, that would have been so cool. Anyways, my next question was, here I have my notes. Quality of the comedy and romance, question mark? We did talk about the comedy a bit. Now, more for like the romance kind of stuff. Is it good? Or is it just kind of like, you think it's kind of like bland and just by the numbers?
Is it bland and by the numbers?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the relationship between the uncle and the aunt, whose names escape me, I apologize.
Yeah. Sora and Yukari, yeah.
Is unique, but I am weary and afraid that it's only unique because it's between two trans people. Like, in Western... I'm not even going to go that far. Some people would consider this just a straight couple, right? Like a heterosexual, technically a heterosexual couple. Am I right about that, or am I off base there?
Yeah, once you finish this thought, I'll tell you what my thoughts about the main couple and what I think the main problem is. But yeah, they do present as just a heterosexual couple of a cis man and a cis woman with a child.
However, they are both trans. So there is a hiccup there. Now, admittedly, there's no complications in their relationship. It's just sort of presented as they have a hard time against the rest of society, but together, you know, they're steadfast in their relationship.
Yeah.
And I think while that might be boring, you kind of need to have that. Like in some trans works, like it's so hard. Again, this is maybe why people have a hard time digesting trans literature, is because it is often very harrowing and depressing because their lives aren't exactly easy. We don't treat them well. But you need to have literature that expresses the entire spectrum of the human experience. So it is nice to see two trans people dating that are happy together. Does that make for good drama? Probably not. But I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough characters with drama in this series. Yeah, Uncle Sora and Aunt Yukari are my favorite characters in the series. I think they are wonderful and lovely, and I think their relationship is so cute, and they're so in love, and they trust each other so much, and it's great. Yeah, it's wonderful. My main problem, and it's one of my two main problems with the queer issues in this manga, is that they are portrayed as like the perfect couple, and it's hard while reading it to not think that it's because they pass perfectly.
Yes, yeah.
So, like, at the start of the series, there's one point in time where Masahiko is like, yeah, you can come to, like, my entrance ceremony for the university, but you have to dress as, like, your birth genders. And, first of all, absolutely horrifying thing to say to a trans person. My God.
Yeah.
And so, Sora and Yukari, they do, and at that point, now people are like, oh, it looks like they are cross-dressing, because in this series, Uncle Sora comes across as very masculine. He has a very masculine body. He's muscular, he's tall. I think it says in the series he's almost, when he was wearing heels in this one scene, he was almost 190 centimeters. Quite tall. And then Aunt Yukari is more petite, beautiful, lovely hair, womanly figure. So if she was wearing men's clothing, she comes across as, like, again, someone cross-dressing. And it feels like there is so much emphasis put on the fact that they look like the perfect couple. And it's like, great, but like, it really does feel like they're saying, oh, this couple is perfect because they pass perfectly as a transgender man and a transgender woman, looking so quote unquote natural that you would not be able to like clock them. And I'm like, that I don't like. Because there are a lot of trans people in this series that don't quote unquote pass. Some of Asora's assistants have a more traditionally masculine body, and they do look a little bit more masculine. And the series often makes a joke about it. There's 4 assistants, 2 of which look very feminine, and even said at one point in time that they're like, yeah, they actually look like women. And you're like, stop saying things the way you say things. Stop phrasing things this way. You're awful. And the other 2, who have more like naturally larger male bodies, they don't pass as well. And that's often the butt of the joke. Only one of the assistants named Susumu returns from a lengthy trip to the US because she got gender confirming surgery. Got top and bottom surgery, but she is one of the assistants that has a more traditionally masculine figure. And like, they often made jokes about it. That even though she's like had these surgeries, people are like, well, you still look like a man. And it's like, stop.
Don't talk to this person this way.
And it's like, and you could like have like chapters that touch on these topics, and it could be a slightly more realistic that yes, a lot of trans people do not pass perfectly, and that's really difficult. But no, it's just they're like, haha, you look like a man in a dress. And then she'll be like, yeah, but I don't have a dick. And then you're like, okay. So like, that's one of my main problems with this, is that there's like the characters that are like, yes, in society, people who do pass perfectly and don't are treated differently. But this is a fictional series, and we are, as the reader, are being guided to read it a specific way. And the specific way that the author has set this up for us to read it is that we are supposed to think of these people differently while reading this. For the most part, you're like, oh, Aunt Yukari is a woman. Look at her, beautiful. But some of the assistants, haha, they're actually men because they look like men. And it's like, you're not being a very good ally right now, Mr. Hojo. Like, you're doing it for comedy, and it's not tasteful because you're like putting the different trans people at odds with each other, and it's like, that's not the way to do it. Don't like it.
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of my big problems with it. Being said, I love like Uncle Sora and Aunt Yukari, great couple. I very much love any chapter about them. We get to see their past, and then they talk. Eventually, they talk a little bit about how they decide to have a child, and it's very sweet. And it touches on a lot of difficult things, like Aunt Yukari at one point in time, like when they're talking about potentially having children, she's talking about how it's like been part of like her dream to be a mother and have a child, and Sora is thinking differently because he knows that if they were to have a child, he would have to be the one that carries the child, and he really does not want to do that. They do eventually have a child, and they're holding their baby, and then Aunt Yukari is like, I wish I could have given birth to her, and Uncle Sora is like, I wish you could have been able to give birth to her too, and it's so cute. And you're like, yeah, these like more character moments where it's not about the joke, and it's just about the people and their relationship. That's where I think the strength of this is, personally. I like those parts. And we get a couple of those parts in the parts that you read. For reference, Jack read up to chapter about 31, so about 1/3 of the series, which gives a pretty good idea of what it's about. Yeah.
There's that chapter where the uncle is experiencing cramps, which they initially, there's concern that it might be a, what do they call it? It's a tumor, right? In his reproduction system.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, it could potentially be like really bad period cramps or something, like a uterine or like ovary problems, because like he doesn't get periods very often, so it's very irregular, and it often is like quite painful. So
Yeah.
they're just like, oh, this might be a serious, what's ovarian cancer?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is like a real concern, first off,
Yeah.
but also like it's treated as something that he's uncomfortable with because it doesn't align with his identity, which is like,
Yeah.
that is interesting. That is an interesting way.
Mhm.
And they play it off comedically where he just has
He had to get his appendix removed.
appendix removed. He has
It's just
appendicitis.
appendicitis. And, like, as I'll tell you, as someone who's biologically female and had to get their appendix removed, yeah, it's not too different. It feels like period cramps that are trying to kill you. And you just kind of have to lay on the floor in, like, the fetal position and hope that 811 is going to get back to you so they can tell you to go to the hospital. Yeah. And then you walk into the hospital at, like, a 90-degree angle and you're like, hi, please help.
Not comfortable.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, appendix removal, not fun. You could totally think it's like a period cramp. Also, one time I had a period cramp so bad that I thought I was having a second appendicitis, and my sister, who's a doctor, was like, no, you're stupid. That's just period cramps. Get over it. And I'm like lying on the floor like, why does it hurt? So, yeah, no, it makes sense. It's like, that's like a pretty realistic chapter. Like, exactly. Like, those are health concerns to worry about, and like, Aunt Yukari was, like, super worried about it because she's worried about her husband having a medical complication. But he's like, no, I don't want to go to a gynecologist because I'm a man.
Right.
I should not have to go to a gynecologist. And it's like, yeah, these are, like, real concerns and real issues that, like, the medical system has to catch up on. And, like, we can have interesting conversations. And for some people who might not be familiar with trans issues, like, reading a manga like this, quote-unquote, that would portray these issues, like, in an actual good way, would actually like, learn stuff. Just like I said about, like, the My Brother's Husband episode we did last year. Like, you can learn a lot of things. If you aren't super familiar with queer issues, but you like reading manga, you can learn about these things. My Brother's Husband was done a lot better than this one was.
A little bit more nuanced.
I'll tell you that! Yeah. That's one of my main problems. My other main problem is, I swear to God, so many characters misgender other characters and dead name other characters. I'm gonna freaking throw my computer out the window.
Yes.
That pissed me off a lot. Yeah.
I think my issue with that is it's done inconsistently. It's done...
Yes.
Sometimes it's played off as it is in the real world, where it is like either a mistake that needs to be corrected or genuinely hurtful, genuinely hateful. And then other times it's played off as a goof, as a gag. And that inconsistency is frustrating in our time, for sure. I'm sure it'd be even more frustrating for a trans person.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, am I supposed to take all of this as a joke or none of this as a joke?
Right.
Because, like, you can't really pick and choose. Like, for example, there is a sequence where Sora's younger sister is gonna get married, and she, like, lies to him and is like, yeah, Dad wants you to be there. Yeah, fun fact, their dad does not want him to be there. And this entire time, when they go back to Sora's, like, hometown, literally every single character is calling him by his dead name.
Yes.
And referring to him with female pronouns. Even his, like, childhood friend. Even his sister, who he's on good terms with. And he's just, like, okay with it? Or, like, he's not, like, annoyed for the people he likes.
They don't properly show his opinion of that. Is that a realistic thing that could happen in the real world? Yeah, probably. It's not addressed properly, unfortunately.
No. Yeah. Yeah, it's like you could, like, have like, of course, yes, blah, blah, blah. It is in Japan from the 90s. It is very different than nowadays. But, like, you can have a little scene where he's, like, explaining to his friend, hey, yeah,
please call me this.
My name's Sora now. And, hey, sis, please don't call me your sister. Yeah, so that bothers me, and then of course they're like, oh, they always keep being like, Masahiko will be thinking to himself and be like, well, Aunt Yukari is a man, and it's like, no, no, she's not, because, like, for example, like, if you're talking about, like, Uncle Sora and Aunt Yukari, for, like, the main cast, will always refer to those two as their preferred pronouns, but even so, Masahiko will just, like, randomly be like, oh yeah, but she's a man, and it's like, okay, so are you actually cool or not? Or are you actually a bigot? Can you stop?
Yes.
So, like, those kind of discrepancies are annoying too. And it's like, is this all just played for jokes? Is it because it's a different time and a different place? I don't know exactly, But all I know is that I don't like it, and yes, I can judge it because it is art that exists in the real world, and we can judge things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that. Also, some other things. There is not exactly a delineation anywhere about just if someone is trans or if it's just someone cross-dressing.
Cross-dressing. Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, bring it up then before I get into it.
My understanding is they are two different things. A person can cross-dress and still identify as their assigned sex at birth, or they can be trans. Or they can be trans and cross-dress, I'm sure, though I figure that's kind of rare.
I can give a culturally relevant example. RuPaul's Drag Race. Most of the people on RuPaul's Drag Race are gay men who are playing a character dressing as a drag queen. You could say, kind of in the context of this, kind of like cross-dressing. Are there people who compete on RuPaul's Drag Race who are trans women? Yes. And they do still play drag queens. Yes. Also, there are gay men that exist that do not.
Right, of course.
Cross-dress, yes. So it's like, this manga makes, no delineation really between those, as in, there is a big difference between Uncle Sora and Aunt Yukari existing as trans people, and sometimes Masahiko either has to or chooses to dress, as a woman for cross-dressing purposes. Huge difference.
Right.
And the manga doesn't really make a delineation between those.
Yeah. I, specifically in the instances where, it's Masahiko, that's the boy, where he's cross-dressing. First off, usually it's against his will, which,
yeah.
Again, played for comedy, probably problematic.
Yep.
It's also, in his instance, he's able to pass, right? He is, I don't know, what would you call it? Successful cross-dressing, but...
Yeah. He goes out in public multiple times and people treat him as a woman because they view him as expressing as a woman and they would not clock him as anything else. Yeah.
Right. I don't know how I feel about, I think the author's trying to have his character gain some empathy for what's going on with his guardians, right? And his cousin, sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except for it's different. It's different.
Yeah, I read it as, every single time that happens, it's not for empathy. It's either comedy or to make him be oh no, I'm going to be a woman.
Right,
oh,
that's
no.
the other thing.
I think, I'm pretty cute dressed as a woman. Oh no, do I actually want to be a woman? Oh no.
I'm having gay panic or trans panic, which is
because the people are oh yeah, everybody who stays in this house ends up being trans. And then he's oh no, I'm going to be trans. And it's that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. It's, that's also a problem with how Westerners think trans identity works, because they view trans people hanging out and they assume that they just infect each other like it's a virus, when in reality is no, these people are congregating because they can find community this way and they aren't ostracized.
Oh no, you taught my child about the gay and now my child is going to be gay because they learned that gay exists, and it's
right.
no,
that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. Yeah, so it's for what actual thematic reasons does Masahiko ever cross-dress? I think it's literally just for comedy, and that's the point of this series, is for, gender non-conforming. But they would not phrase it in such a good way.
Right.
Yeah. Because, by the end of the series, he has never once expressed any desire to be a woman. He has never expressed any desire to be anything than a straight cis man. So, none of that really needed to happen. Literally just for, there's also some plot contrivances where, later on he has to go, Shion is going on a trip with some of her friends from high school because they're graduating. And then, aunt and uncle are like, hey, Masahiko, can you dress up as a girl and also go along so you can just watch them to make sure they're okay? And you're like, yes, plot contrivances, what a surprise. Oh, you have to find a way to make your the main character dress up as a girl and go to like an onsen with actual girls. Okay, I get it. Yes, that's so contrived, but okay.
That's not out of place in regular regular manga that isn't about trans people.
Exactly, no, yeah. I mean, there is a lot of manga that involves cross-dressing. Like, a lot. I wonder why. Maybe I'll think about this sometime. I do have a mangaka I want to talk about at some point in time who has multiple series where he has characters that change gender and also cross... Yeah, we'll talk about that sometime, but, like, it's a prevalent trope.
It is a camp element, just generally in literature. I don't know how familiar you are with, like... I don't know. You ever seen Some Like It Hot? It's a 1940s screwball comedy. Mm-hmm. About guys who have to pretend to be girls in order to... I think it's like to get a cheap train ticket or something. Like, and they hang out with Marilyn Monroe and this and that. Like, there is a humorous element of cross-dressing, but it is distinct from being trans than conforming to being trans, right?
Yeah, I don't think Mrs. Doubtfire has anything to do with, like, queerness. No, that's just for comedy. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that there's just, like, a lot of cross-dressing and it's never really expressed, like, explicitly that it's different than actually being specifically trans, it's like, that could also be done a little better. Again, time and place of when it was made. Culturally in Japan, there might not have been seen that much of a difference. Also, like, he's like, for the author, I could not find a lot about him. I think he's married and has a kid. From what I could find, is not queer in any way.
That's my understanding too, just on what I looked up.
I would love to know, like, how he did research for this series. I would also like to know how he conceived this series. Like, was it just, like, a thought that popped into his head? Does he have friends, like, that were trans? And were, like, having some, like, life happenings, and he was like, hey, I could make a series about this. Or, like, I would, like, how did this be conceived? Right. I would love to know. I would love to know. Because, like, it is a very different genre than, like, City Hunter. I mean, some of the characters, like, look similar, but that's just, like, being an artist, whatever.
That's just style,
you reuse characters. But, like, so, like, why? Why does this exist? It's, like, it's not even, like, when I think of, like, you know, other people's far less well-known stuff. Like, if I'm thinking about Real by Takehiko Inoue, like, Real compared to, like, Slam Dunk and Vagabond, you can still see why Real exists, because it's about basketball. And obviously he really likes basketball, so it makes sense why it exists. But, like, if you look at, like, Cat's Eye and, like, City Hunter and Angel Heart, which were, like, whatever, almost the same thing, whatever, confusing. This family compo is so vastly different that I'm like, I want to know. I want to know how this came to be. And I have no information on it.
How familiar are you with... It's a Japanese phrase, but it's also, like... It's like social manners over there. It's called Bano Kuki wo Yomi. I think I'm saying that right. It basically means... like the ability to read the room. It's a way, it's Japanese conformity of like trying not to make a scene, right? Like that's, or if you're in a party situation, being able to party with other people. It's not unique to Japan, but it's treated kind of seriously there. I wonder if maybe the author was in a situation where they saw someone who was trans and they were, I don't know, like, to not conform means you stick out, which can lead to fascination in addendum to bigotry or whatever, right? Like, and both are problematic, but like, I don't know, maybe this person was just interested in trans topics and wanted to explore it in art. I don't know.
Because like, he's not unknowledgeable. Like, based on what I've been able to research, like, you could, at this point in time, there was probably not much for, like, sex change surgery in Japan. So you have the one character who goes to the US to get gender confirming surgery. Because, so, like, obviously, he knew at least that much. I don't feel like the general Japanese person who's never talked about trans people would know that information.
Right.
And there are, like, a lot of different, like, there's a lot of different stories for all the different characters. And, like, well, some of the characters' backstories are, like, quite like real. I don't know if like realistic is the word, but like you could see the realism and like you're like, yeah, that's a thing that could happen. Like I don't know, specifically I made Jack read chapter 53 and 54 randomly because this little subplot here that happens in these two chapters is one of the main things I think about when I like think about this series, because it always like sticks in my brain. These are two chapters where one of Sora's manga assistants named Kazu is the assistant that is physically the largest and you could say passes the least as a woman. The main cast finds out that she has a wife and a kid and lives as a man when with her family, and the family is unaware that she's a woman at work, and like she's worried that if her family found out about her true self it could lead to divorce, and like that's like actual concerns, like it like that totally could happen, and like that's and like there's a whole lot of like conforming, and it's like to societal norms. And,
she asks the other non-passing member of her team to like, I think the term is boy mod. I think that's correct. Where they dress as their assigned sex to disguise their trans identity.
Yeah, and that other character, Susumu, the one who did have a gender confirming surgery, is like super pissed about it. She's like, how can you be so selfish? Like, because, like, you know, they all know how much it means to each other to be able to dress and act and wear their hair and makeup like the gender that they are and not the sex they were assigned at birth. And so, like, I really like these chapters because it has a lot of these, like, tension moments between characters. Like that, for example, and there's Kazu fighting with her love for her family and her desire to be her true self, and, like, not wanting to like reveal to her family who she really is because it could like break up her family, and she does love her family and she loves being a woman, but like unfortunately in the culture, especially at the time, those things were not like they were incongruous with each other. And like, yeah, the whole premise of these chapters is like Kazu's kid has to do a homework assignment, which is like draw your dad at work.
Right.
So the kid has to go to the manga workshop, whatever, where Sora and the assistants are all drawing, and Kazu is dressing like a man, and it's not going great because she's like not feeling comfortable. And then the kid is like sad because he's like, oh, like my dad doesn't look cool or whatever.
Yeah, he's bad at his job.
Yeah, eventually the kid does come back and like see Kazu working like as she is normally dressed and was like cool and serious and doing a good job, and the kid is all like, you know what, if that's what it takes to do a good job at work, like whatever, you know what, sure. And also I'm not gonna tell my mom,
and I'm not gonna rat on my
parents.
dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, and then you're like, oh, that's nice. What a nice kid. And then the kid draws like a picture of Kazu being really serious at work and titles it like Mom at Work. And it's like, it's very sweet. And like I said earlier, I think this manga is at its best when it's being a little more serious and like treating these issues like seriously and like presenting it to the audience that these are issues that exist, and like, for example, they're like, we don't exactly have a solution for this. Like, we aren't given a solution to Kazu's problem where she can't be her true self at home with her family.
Right.
We are presented with this issue, and it's like, yeah, this is it. Look at it. That's the reality of life. Same with like the chapter where Sora, everybody thinks, oh, it must be period cramps, but it's actually appendicitis. Like, it's brought up these concerns about like trans healthcare and a healthcare system that doesn't
accommodate
as a
people.
man. Yeah. And you were presented with this, and yes, this little story is tied up neatly. Oh, it was just appendicitis, but he still has to go to the hospital, and of course there's shenanigans like that, blah blah blah, having to be placed in like a woman's ward, blah blah blah. And like you're faced with like, there is no solution that were given to it because that's not how the society is. And then you have to sit with that as an audience. You have to think about it, and you're like, yeah, these are things that would be really awesome if these could change.
I was even surprised they addressed like the issue of driver's licenses in one of the episodes. Now, granted, that episode is like layered in misogyny in like a really weird way, but
like the women can't drive.
Women can't drive. Yes, yeah. But I was surprised to see that because that, I mean, when that issue started arising here in Canada, Like, I was in like high school when I started hearing about that. And maybe that's just because my dad works in government. So like that was something that might have come across his desk every once in a while. But like, that's a real issue, right? If you're born a certain way and you were raised a certain way and you feel that you're different, you're going to have to get that changed. And sometimes the system doesn't accommodate you to change that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And there's like the chapter, I don't know if you got to that, where they're talking about how like Sora and Yukari didn't have like a full wedding. They kind of just had like a courthouse wedding kind of thing.
Okay, I did not get that far.
Okay, you didn't get that far, but yeah, there's like a picture of them just wearing like normal street clothes, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a picture from our wedding. And then Yukari is talking about how she would have loved to wear a wedding dress, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, especially like, well, they were both ostracized from their families, and they only had each other, and like they didn't have a lot of funds when they were younger. And having a full wedding would have been extremely difficult for them. And it's honestly, like, I mean, probably the reason they were actually able to get married is because they did pass. Nobody questioned that it was, like, a same-sex couple or, like, a non-cis couple or anything like that. But, like, and then that episode does conclude with the kids, like, Masiko and Shion, get, like, a tux and a wedding dress for their aunt and uncle to wear. And then they get to have, like, a kind of, like, a redo wedding where they get to have, like, beautiful, like, wedding photos. And it's lovely, and it's sweet, and it's great. And, like, the wedding photographer is like, wow, what a beautiful couple. And it's like, yes, it is really leading into the, oh, they pass perfectly. Everybody thinks they're a perfect couple because they pass perfectly, when in reality, it's people should think they're a perfect couple because they love each other so much.
Right.
And the way that they look shouldn't have to matter. So yes, exactly. It's still very annoying that those two things are so inextricably linked in this manga. So, like, am I saying I'd kind of like it if, like, they didn't pass as well? I'm like, for the message of the manga, it would work, but, like, also in the series itself, it would make it a lot harder for their life. So I wouldn't want to wish that on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, that also sort of plays on our own biases just as an audience. Like, we like to see beautiful people in fiction, right?
Yeah.
Like, regardless of their gender, regardless of if it's live action or anime, we like to look at nice looking things.
Pretty things, yeah.
I was gonna.
Yeah.
This is sort of related. I don't know. Do you know Tootsie? You know the movie Tootsie?
Vaguely, yeah. Yeah, vaguely.
Dustin Hoffman. There's an anecdote about that movie where when he was doing the makeup test, Tootsie is about an actor who wants to get a certain job that is only hiring women, so he decides to cross-dress and identify as a woman for like a certain amount of time. The movie was critically acclaimed at the time. It's incredibly dated now. I'm not a huge fan, even though I like Dustin Hoffman as an actor. But there's an anecdote about when he was doing the makeup test to make him look like a woman, and when they were done, he was disappointed. He found himself disappointed because he didn't look pretty, and he like thought that was going to affect his career, and he was thinking about how it was going to affect the movie, and that like sort of turned him on to like, oh, this is like how women feel. Like, and like, I don't know what I was going to get at, but like that sort of applies to this manga where the main trans figures, they pass, they're pretty, they look good. And then our secondary characters don't, and they're the ones who, like, they get more of the drama, I guess. Like, they get interesting storylines. I don't know.
Yeah. And, like, you could really feel there's a difference in the way that the manga assistants are treated, the ones that do pass and the ones that don't. Like, and yeah, I'm not a fan. Because, like, yeah, it does, like, treat, like, for example, I think her name's Hiromi, the manga assistant that has the long hair. She's like always like dressed like her gender, like a woman, and she always passes as a woman, and she's treated a lot differently because she's quote unquote like prettier and like really pretty, and she often dresses kind of like a hostess because her other job is working at a gay bar, which we haven't even talked about.
Right.
the portrayal of gay bars, which like fair enough, the gay bars in Japan are probably way different than they are in Canada, but like yeah, she's given like a lot of like some scenes, but like later in the manga you didn't get to the part where she has like a relationship with someone like via email. And then like the twist is, oh, they were both lying. Well, like not really, because she wasn't lying about being a woman.
Right.
And, like, that's annoying. And, like, that, and but then it is also annoying because, like, you know, whatever, she's not the main characters that are married and have a personal relationship. And, like, that part ends with, like, oh, well, she doesn't get a relationship. Because it's like, okay. She can't have happiness, too. Boo. But yeah, anyways, like I said, the portrayal of gay bars. Personally, I don't know if in Japan there's a difference in the terminology for gay bar and, like, cross-dressing bar. But the series only portrays gay bars as it's either men dressed as women or transgender women working in them as hostesses. And that's interesting. Because I don't know.
I'll confess something. I've never been to a gay bar in Canada or in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that gay bars here have, like, they have cross-dressing night. Like, they have drag nights for sure, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but like
for my birthday last year, I went to it was a drag bingo. It was fun.
Okay, yeah. So I'm wondering, from like maybe an outsider looking in, if you were just to like perceive that they were having a drag night, you would just assume that, oh, it's always drag at a gay bar, when that's like very obviously not the case. But like, I don't know, different time, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, also like the quote unquote gay bars that are in this manga. They are, like, hostess or host bars where it's, like...
Right.
It's not, like, a bar where it's just full of patrons and bartenders give you drinks. No, it's more like patrons are there and they're sitting with hosts who are, like, giving them attention and pouring them drinks. Like,
yes.
People, like, almost like waitresses that, like, sit with you and, like, engage with you and, like, you know, validate you with female attention kind of
jokes
stuff.
And stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeah, host and hostess bars are a big, like, or, like, establishments are clubs, I guess. Host and hostesses clubs, I guess, yeah, are a big thing in Japan. And then have you ever heard stories of, like, people accidentally blowing their entire life savings on trying to, like, being the biggest patron for a host and then, like, getting really annoyed because, like, what? He didn't love me?
He didn't actually like me? They were just doing their job?
And then they go and try to, like, murder him? Yes, this happens. So, yeah, kind of problematic. Not the best. But it's also, like, yeah, so when in this series, when it's like, oh, it's a gay bar, but it's more like a hostess club, where it's like, well, of course, it's ambiguous of, like, are these gay men that are dressing, like, as, like, drag queens kind of much? Or... are they trans women? Because, for example, Hiromi, one of the manga assistants, does work at one of these. But that's not a gay man, that's a trans woman. So, right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a cultural thing, but very interesting.
It is interesting. Like, the exploration of, like, queer spaces in this is interesting. Like, one of the safe spaces for a queer person is in a manga studio. And I think that's, like, kind of fascinating and nuanced. That's probably drawn from real life, I assume, right? Like, you don't have to go out. You go to an office.
Yep.
All your friends are there. Like, it's a safe space. You just work diligently at a thing, like an artistic hobby. That makes sense. That makes sense why you could have trans people working at a manga studio. Mm-hmm. The host club example, again, problematic, but, like, I don't know. There are plenty of trans, like, I don't want to call them sex workers, but, like, service workers, I guess, because it fits a demographic. Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know how would you define that.
And I mean, like, it's never really specifies in the series if, like, the patrons of these clubs know if it's a gay bar or not. Because there's definitely, I think you brought it up to the point where, like, Hiromi can't go into work at this club, and so Aunt Yukari goes to fill in for her. And, like, do the patrons know? Because, like, there's just, like, a random dude, like, hitting on her at one point, and you're like... Do these people know? Because it's like it's portrayed as very straight, is what I'll say.
Right.
It's portrayed very much as it's just a creepy old man hitting on a pretty woman.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know. I have no experience with going to clubs in Japan. I've never been to Japan. Also, especially, I have not been to a club in Japan in the 90s because I would have been a fetus. But yeah, it'd be interesting to look into that to see, like, if any of that is, like, realistic. Like, I mean, like, I've read, like, a lot of manga that have, like, that feature, like, scenes with hostess clubs or whatever. So, like, that part, I mean, like, as long as not every manga is lying, you know, like, the way that every manga that has a school has the exact same pool in it. mangas that have host or hostess as bars like often look almost exactly the same. And so I can say, yeah, that one looks like it, but I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that realistic for what a gay bar is? No idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, also just on the brief research I've done into just bars, period, in Japan, like bars, Japan is a tight country. Like it's very packed in urban areas. Bars are not very big, and this one looked huge. So like, I don't know.
At least one of the gay bars they go to was like owned by like a Yakuza group, so like surely they can like afford space, I guess.
Sure,
I don't know.
I guess.
Sure.
I don't know.
Whatever. I mean, I do also like on that vein of thinking, there's the house that the Wakane family live in. Like it's a 2-story house.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't look all that crazy, right? Seems like a normal 2-story house, more or less.
I mean, yeah, that's not that in my limited experience, being that I went there. My host family they basically owned an apartment complex where the top floor would be the mom and dad and brothers and sisters. Bottom floor would be the grandparents. And then beside it was a bike shop that they all ran together. Like housing over there, it's different. Like it's...
Oh yeah, 100%. But like compared to houses in Canada, like it's not out of the norm for there to be a detached 2-story house.
No.
That's pretty normal.
Well, especially in Vancouver also, right? Like in big urban areas, for sure.
Yeah. And then later on in the series, like a character shows up, whatever. I won't explain any of that, and then she's like, "Oh, and they like live in a mansion," and I'm just like, "Right, it's a lot different.
It's different.
There's so much space in Canada. You could just have a house that's that big with a yard and that's detached." But yeah, Sora is a very accomplished mangaka, so has money, and so like whatever, this character at this point was trying to like kind of like catfish and like steal money, but it was like, ooh, this family's rich, they live in a mansion, and just that to me was like, oh right, cultural difference. Yes, I did grow up thinking that having a 2-story house meant you were rich, but like there also is a lot of 2-story house. I would never call a 2-story house a mansion.
No, certainly not. And like again, that reads weird to me. Maybe my host family, it was something different than the norm, but like they have their living quarters on the main floor and then their business on the bottom floor, and that's like I don't know, that's like a normal thing over there.
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot.
That happens here too,
especially like downtown areas.
Yes.
Yeah, there'll be like apartment buildings on top of shops. Yeah, when there's high density, it'd be like that. So it's like, oh yeah, you're right. Having a house with a yard, fully detached, 2-story. Good point. That is something slightly out of the norm. Totally forgot about that.
I can't believe we're talking about Japanese urban infrastructure.
But like, okay, it is like a plot point at some point, okay? It is related to the manga. Anyways, I think I've talked about most of the things I wanted to talk about. Was any things you wanted to bring up?
I wanted to bring up one more cultural reference, and I don't know how related they are. Are you familiar with, it's one of the earliest pieces of like literature about trans people that I know. Do you know about Madame Chrysanthemum by Pierre Loti? And it was later adapted into a novel and an opera called Madame Butterfly.
Okay, that's familiar, but I don't know a lot about...
It's about a naval officer who meets a female presenting... I don't know if she's a host or if she's a sex worker. Oh, it might just be... It's sort of a sex worker. It's one of those paid relationship situations in Japan. Granted, this is like in the late 1800s, but anyway, this naval officer falls in love with this person despite them being born a male and presenting as female. In its original rendition, it's like presented as like a tragedy that this person has fallen head over heels with someone who is like it's not a straight relationship, even though you know the circumstances. It's recently gotten sort of a different appraisal in the modern era of it being a tragedy that like people can't accept that like this person really did fall in love with this other person regardless of how they present or whatever. There's also an issue of like consent on this English person just like kind of taking this Japanese person to be their spouse. I don't know. Like, it's weird to see how the depiction of trans people in literature has changed, and the perception of it also changes. And like, I am curious what this would look like, just as we said at the top of the show, what this would look like if this got an official English release. Like, would this be praised? Would this be found as problematic? Or would it be a mix of both?
Yeah.
And would this be seen as important also, is my other question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like my final point that I was going to bring up is like, yeah, this series is over 5 years old at this point. And it's like, is this old piece of art that is definitely of its time and kind of archaic at this point, like, is it still good? And like, is saying like, oh, it's from a different time, does that like validate the differences and the parts that are not good? Like, you know, it's kind of reminiscent of like the Smurfs episode of, that was certainly made in a time, and that was yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah. And like, I will say one thing that I think is very important to mention that I don't think we've mentioned yet is this, despite like, I'm gonna talk a little bit about, I guess, what I think the intentions of the author is, which obviously I'm just making assumptions. I don't know Hojo at all. It feels like this was intended to be done in good faith, and he does respect trans people, and it wasn't like just a complete jab at genderqueer people or anything like that. Like, because like most of, like, for the most part, being trans is like portrayed in a positive light, and it's never said like, oh yeah, no, you should just not think you're a woman if you were born a man. Right. So like I think he's coming from a good place. Obviously, I don't know this man at all, but I at least want to give him the credit for that, I guess.
I think that's fair. Like, yeah, like you said, transness, I don't know if that's the right term. Being trans is not considered a psychosis ever. No one suggests that these people should go seek help. There's gawking. There's certainly gawking. Again, that plays into the social norms of reading the room.
Yeah, and conforming, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I've seen worse. I can imagine a worse version of this, right? Like,
oh, 100%. Something that was done, like, spiteful or hateful, and it was, like, for comedy, but, like, at the expense of trans people in a malicious way.
Right.
Yeah.
While this does otherize people, it also normalizes at the same time. That's what's like so hard to like. I think that's why we're having a hard time wrapping our heads around this. This is like, it's doing two things at once, and that's tricky waters to navigate.
Yeah, like I like this series, and because I like it, I wish it was better. Like I wish it was better. But I know it's not, so it's like, it's complicated to like this series. I don't love it. It's definitely not my top faves. It's something I think about a lot because it's very unique, especially for the time, and like who it's from, and that's always interesting to me. And yeah, I kind of wish it would have been done a little bit better, but like I guess it is, yeah, of the time, that's for sure. So, like, do you think this work still has a place in current day?
I think certainly as a time capsule, sure. I think Hojo is, like, an important mangaka, at least in Europe and some aspects of the West, I suppose, as an early import to the West. So, like, I'm interested in any of those people's works. Like, if I've read one Masamune Shirow, I've read them all, right? Like, I like that stuff, so like it's good to explore that stuff. That being said, I certainly wouldn't say that this is my favorite, nor do I feel compelled to return to this.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not reading the rest of the 102 chapters,
no,
man.
I don't think so. Especially knowing the ending.
Yeah, it does repeat a lot. Like, there are good parts. There's a character you didn't even meet yet who does have like a pretty good arc. He is not ever called by the right pronouns by most people, and it's really annoying. But like, yes, he's got a pretty good ending. Would you recommend this series to people?
I would hesitantly recommend it to people who are curious about different genres of manga. ... in an academic sense. ...
Yeah. Like, I have a relatively similar perspective, yeah. Like, I like, would I recommend Family Compo to people? I'm like, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a beautifully drawn series with some strong character moments and some good drama and some good emotional scenes. I would not ever recommend this to someone as, like, their first manga.
Right.
Like, I would not recommend this to a newbie. I wouldn't recommend this to someone who has not been, like, deeply steeped in, like, the tropes of manga, especially of the time. If you have never encountered a manga where it's just for some reason the cousins like each other, like, if you've never read something like that, don't read this.
Yeah, for sure, this is not gateway manga.
If you can at least stomach a cousin romance from a distance, like, I would recommend this to, like, approach it in, like, a literary critique perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And just, like, maybe, like, not exactly a learning perspective, but, like, a consumption of media in a sense where you are learning something about media. Not specifically this series itself, but, like, the fact that it exists and this is how it was made and how it was written is an interesting topic. I would love to know if there's any single other person who has read this and what those people think. Has anybody read this for, like, fun? Like, I mean, because, like, I did enjoy reading it, and like I said, I've read it to completion at least 3 times in my life. It's one of those ones I come back to every, like, 3 or 4 years and I read again and I'm like, oh yeah, that's how it went. Why the fuck are they cousins? But yeah, like, I would say, yeah, I would tentatively recommend it to, depending on the kind of person you are. If you want a good queer manga, go read My Brother's Husband.
Go read My Brother's Husband, yes. Yeah,
yes.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And, yeah. I can't wait to just decide what I'm gonna pick for next year. I mean, whatever. I bring gay stuff to the show all the time and whatever. But, like, for specifically the Pride Month episode, wanted to have a manga about queer people that is very much of my vibe of, it's super niche, nobody's ever heard of this. Look, I've forced at least one other person to read this, now you have to know about it. And hey, on the bright side, would you say it's a better, like, romance and stuff than Boys Abyss?
Oh.
Think it's better trans rep than Boys Abyss?
Oh, certainly, absolutely. I mean, Boys Abyss ripping off Psycho versus this, which is about, like, human beings. Yeah, no, this is way better.
Yeah, so, at the very least, better than Boys Abyss. Yay. But yes, yeah, interesting manga. If somebody has, like, the time and, like, has read a lot of manga, sure, read it.
Like, if you're legitimately interested in this, you should probably check it out. Like, if anything that we've said has, like, piqued your interest or, like, made you curious or even made you, like, frustrated, I think you should maybe give it a go and see what we're talking about. At
the very least, it looks nice.
Yes.
It's a very well-drawn manga, and I will say that. I do very much, great art in this one. But yeah. Anyways, that's Family Compo. A very unique manga that I've literally never heard anyone ever talk about, so you know what? There's gotta be a first. Gotta be first time for everything.
Yeah.
Now someone outside of France and Italy knows about this.
I was gonna say, our search engine optimization is gonna be excellent on this episode.
Oh, yeah, no. People are gonna be like, what is this? I've never heard of it. And I'll be like, yes, but it's the guy who did City Hunter. Wouldn't you like to see more from that guy? Yeah. Exactly. That's gonna be my selling for this one, yeah. Thanks for listening. You can find me, Diane, on Instagram at @1littlegremlin. That's 1_little_gremlin.
And you can find me, Jack Stewartson, at Phantom Power Press, spelt with an F, on Blue Sky, and now it's called Pink Leap, not Pink Sky.
Oh, wow. Changes.
Wow.
Yeah, alright, so if you'd like to follow the show, you can do so on Blue Sky and Pink Leap at panelpalspodcast.blsky.social. All of our links are in the show notes. If you like the show, please rate and review on your podcast provider of choice. Panel Pals is a Jack Stewartson, Diane Hitchings co-production with editing by Jack Stewartson. Our musical theme is found by Stem Champs.